For over 1,000 years, Western civilization has been stuck in a dark age of sexual repression and misinformation. We get an oversexed overload from the media, but nothing in the way of honest, helpful, practical information on sex and how to do it right. That sucks, and I'm fucking sick of it. My name's JV Altheras, and I've spent a couple decades learning everything I can about how to have amazing sex and more of it. Not in a classroom like a lot of people who talk about sex. I learned it all in the gutter, right where Mom told me I'd end up. It's my mission to bring an end to the sexual dark age with brutally honest talk and education on all aspects of sex and sexuality, in an atmosphere that will keep you entertained without treating you like an idiot. Shara and I are not doctors. Certifiable, perhaps, but not certified in any way. And that means we don't have to talk about vaginas and penises to maintain academic credibility. You got a problem with a vagina? Call a gynecologist. You want to learn more about pussies and cocks and how to make them happy? You've come to the right place. Greetings and welcome to episode 98 of Ending the Sexual Dark Age.
Well, hello.
So we have a new rule today. Shara's got to have her tits out from now on anytime we're podcasting. I'm not sure how we got that far without that already being a rule, but here we are, and thankfully we fixed it today.
You're welcome.
And it was all Shara's idea.
You're welcome.
Thank you. She happens to be wearing something that is particularly friendly to whipping her titties out, so...
I'll wear it more often.
So this is part 2 of our retrospective with most of our fellow hosts from the Desire trip. This is 2 of 3 Desire episodes, because the next one, episode 99 of the podcast, will be our live audience episode, which includes several of our friends from the resort.
Yes.
DD, CC.
Yes. Oh, the drink maker.
Yep. And Africa.
And Africa. Some wonderful people. So I heard through the grapevine, though, that Dee Dee was no longer there.
Yes, that is what I heard as well. It's very sad.
It's very sad. Very sad. But we can, liven ourselves up by going to see Cece and having a drink and then laying on the bed so that Africa can bring us our lunch. Yep,
and this year's trip is filling up nicely.
It is.
So... there are definitely still rooms left. So anyone listening to this, you have heard us talk about Desire a lot on the show. In fact, a lot of our recent episodes, we're talking about our travels to fun and sexy places. We've got some more left to talk about. And we're also going to get back to doing some listener mail and some of the more traditional stuff that we did in the past.
Yes. Now that you're feeling much better.
Yes.
I'm not 100%, but wow.
Like the last 2 or 3% is straggling, but it'll be all right.
I know.
It'll be all right.
I'm here to make sure that happens.
Can't fucking kill me.
Good to know. Good to know.
You don't even have enough fire to kill me. But and then we will have episode 100.
I know.
And we'll have to figure out what kind of foolishness to celebrate with for episode 100.
Maybe I should start thinking about that, because if I leave that up to you...
I think it should be left up to me.
I think not. And if we did a poll right now and asked the audience, I would not want to.
Yes.
I love you, audience, but you always go for JV.
If I'm in charge, it's going to be ridiculous. And it should be ridiculous.
Plus, if we did a poll, certain people, like Naughty and, that group. Do I dare say another name? Because when I do, if you mention Naughty and his name in the same, it's like terror for any submissive out there. And then Sexy Pixie, of course, joins in because of the switch motive for her. So, I could be in real trouble if
That's so much fun to watch.
It's fun to...
It's fun. Being able to play with people who bottom for me and top you is just one of the highlights of my existence, to be perfectly honest.
Well, I'm not saying that it doesn't do things inside of me that, getting soaking wet, for instance.
I do. I must admit, it is one of my all-time favorite modes of play.
So, yes.
Thankfully, we have the right friends to do more of that.
Never ending. A great group. I mean, sincerely, anyone who could have those same people or those... I mean, what a mix. And the friendship is It keeps you laughing all the time. And if you're having a bad day, you can reach out to any one of them and they'll make you feel better. And whether it's a slap on the ass, just kidding. Whatever it is, they always make you feel better. And I have truly enjoyed, although it went from a nice submissive group to mostly switches. Thank you very much. Great group of ladies that I have been able to bond with, and whether it's part of your vanilla life or the kinky side, they're there. They're there. And we just kind of keep adding to that.
Yep, and they are all people that we met because of desire.
Yes.
Many of our closest friends.
Yes. So,
So come party naked with us in paradise. ssdesire.com.
Please do. And remember, if you're a newbie, you do not have to worry about how much clothing is off or how much clothing is on. It's totally up to you. Because I think that that's important for the newbies that are going to attend for the first time. Even if they've been in the lifestyle forever, but have not been to Desire. It's what you're comfortable with.
Well, and I would hope that anyone who listens to this show would have plenty of material in the back catalog that would let them know exactly what to expect. But, yeah.
But they might have their significant other
at your own rate.
Right.
Or perv at your own speed.
But there might be somebody who's having their significant other listen, and they might not listen to all the episodes. So I think it's important for them to know that it is up to you what you're comfortable with. And we're always here for advice or questions, and so is the extended group.
So without further ado, here we have the second half of Desire Total Recall 2018.
Yay!
Hello everybody and welcome back to Desire Total Recall, and welcome to part 2. We last left you all by saying goodbye to Tristan Termino. We return by saying hello to Cooper S. Beckett, asking JV Altheraz a very important question.
So what you were saying about you get out of it what you put into it, it's the same thing that I've often told people about play parties. As hard as it is to walk up to people and introduce yourself and ask them to play, if you're not doing it, expecting someone else to do it is sort of unfair. So if you're the person, and I've been this person, who stands in the corner at a play party and wishes someone would come and talk to them, it's about time you go talk to somebody. And I have found, everybody who was shy and nervous, didn't feel like they were fitting in at any time, once they started actually going out and talking to people, it changed the game for them. Like, people have had dramatically different year ones to year two, just on virtue of knowing it's okay to approach people. And silence.
I'm sorry, I wasn't sure if you were pausing for dramatic effect or
no. That's all I got.
I don't know how you add to that point. Like, that's a great point. I mean, I feel one of the pieces of the puzzle of our trip is truly doing. How do I put this? I feel personally, I'll speak for myself. It's easier that way. I feel very strongly that we are creating something, and I do my very best individually to make that message very clear to people that if not now, when? This is your place, this is your time, this is the spot, who knows what's going to happen? You could be rejected, you could be whatever you are, but it will be with love and kindness, and it will be with a true heart, in that people aren't going to say yes-ish. They're going to say a clear no or a fuck yes. And where can you find a place? I hope you can find multiple places, like keep looking for them. And I hope we're one of them, where you can look someone in the eye and know that what they're saying is exactly what they're feeling. Ish. I mean, we all have a right to human privacy, but I mean, that you're getting the real deal. You're getting authenticity. You're getting people who are so real. I shared, again, I feel like the moments that stick out for me, one of the moments that was related to this very vulnerable moment that I had being whipped was that I could be in that pain and be in that experience for myself, what to me is a very erotic, cathartic experience and is part of my sexuality, and not feel judged for whatever happened at the time. And that comes from me personally. It was in my space. It was all these things, but I was surrounded by people who could receive that. And I did my best to be a receiver of those things as well. And when I did have sexy conversations, I brought my best self, and I brought my sexiest self, and I brought my truest self. And that in and of itself is a gift. And it's up to you as an individual person whether you're going to take advantage of that or not. And I would offer to people who are considering the trip in or joining us in some other place, like that's not just a tagline. That is truly who we are. And you have to come in willing to trust that, or willing to actually just give it a try and see how it works out for you. But there's nothing else we can do as stewards of that space. And when I say we I mean the big we.
We can't ask someone to have sex with you.
I mean, we could.
We could, but we shouldn't. Really, we shouldn't.
Right. I feel strongly that I would be right there with you. I'd be like his name just escaped me. It was the old
Goose?
Rocky. What's his?
Oh. You're Paulie or Burgess Meredith? You want to be Burgess Meredith?
I will totally be your Paulie to your Rocky if you're looking to get laid. I'm just saying. And so that is one of the things, or not even get laid. I just reflect on my own experience of the truly authentic connection moments that I have, that were simply because we were living in that space for that week, and we've cultivated that ability to be honest and real with each other. That just gives me chills, that feeds me to the next time. And we can't do it for other folks. Like Coop, you said it very pointedly, and JV too. It's like you've got this. Like, you have totally got this, and we are here otherwise to help with that. But at the same time, you have to take what is being said and what you're hearing and what you're reading or whatever it might be as authentic as well. Because it's only as authentic as you let it be, and I appreciate people's limitations around what it feels like to have those communications, to do those very challenging things.
Because we have a lot of introverts on this trip, and a lot of introverts who have discovered that when put in a safe place, they can be more extroverted. And it's always, like I had this thing in high school where I would pine after a girl, and then like years later, sometimes I'd say, I was really into you in high school. And she's like, well, why the fuck didn't you say anything? I totally would have dated you. And I do that at conferences where I'm totally into someone and I don't say anything. And I tweet on my way home, I was really into you. It's like, well, why the fuck didn't you say anything? We could have had sex at the conference. And desire, really, like the last 2 years, I've been able to get over myself and that bullshit and put it out there. And it's, it has returned wondrous things. And not always has it led to what I'm aiming for. Like I got the stars will align for us at some point at the end of last trip, and I gave stars will align for us at some point at the end of last trip. But if you're not willing to ask for something, do you really deserve it? Yeah.
And I wanted to share that Prof and I were talking, and he was really in awe of a moment, Ginger, that you were having I believe that you were walking on the beach, and the couple wanted to talk to you. I think she was going into like a sub drop, and
it was something like that, Shara, and yeah, absolutely. It was just someone who needed some emotional support.
Yes, and you gave
a couple. Yep.
And you gave it, and Prof was just telling me how he just really enjoyed watching you take care of her and talk to her and spend that time with her. So, I could tell he was really touched by that moment.
Yeah.
Okay, he might not want me to say something like that about him, touched by that moment.
No,
Don't talk about him being
think
nice
he
and
was-
having feelings for it.
Love can be touched.
I'm gonna get a spanking now.
Yes. Well, one piece that I just want to offer to just dovetail off of that I don't want folks to lose is this is also time with your partner.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have to be honest, when I think about all of the incredibly impactful things, first of all, I don't want to rank them. So I'm just going to let it be this delicious, wonderful package that got weird fast, but you know what I mean.
Tell us more about this.
That I was going to say.
Wonderful package.
That I put in my mouth. So there it is.
Is it a mouthful?
But it's totally. Yeah.
Rate that yellow.
It's exactly. It's really a time to connect with your partner. And for me, that was a significant component of this trip for me personally, that I got to just be with Prof.
Mm-hmm.
And we meditated and we spent time together. We might have been less present out in the world. Oftentimes we were just at the beach bar, but I mean, it was still good, amazing quality time with Cece, our friend, and other friends. And I don't want our travelers to lose that. Like, yes, we're letting you loose on this incredible paradise, but come to it first with eyes toward your partner and what you might learn about your partner. And I'll stop there.
Well, that came in incredibly sharp focus for me this year. I know that my first year at Desire, Tony and I didn't actually actively play with anybody else. We just fucked each other like bunnies everywhere that we could on the resort constantly. I mean, the amount of individual penetrative sexual events we had, I think, numbered in the 30 just with each other.
That sounds so sexy when you say it that way, Dylan.
But it was nice. It was nice.
Needs a shirt that just says that.
The
was
number
nice of
of
you, though.
individual penetrative sexual
Events.
It was nice of you to leave ice time for me, though. Thank you.
Oh, you're there will always be ice time for you, Shara. Always.
Well, thank you.
But this year, Tonya left Thursday morning at 4:30 in the morning. And I had another partner that came and spent the rest of the time at the resort with me. So in addition to doing all the hosty duties and, playing with other people, I really wanted to fit in as much time with Tonya, focused, dedicated time with Tonya as I could. And we had really good us time, whether it was us time with other people at the same time, or us time. I never let my focus wander away from her, I think, even when I was playing with somebody else, or she was playing with somebody else. And that really felt meaningful. She felt my presence even if we weren't together, and I felt hers if we weren't together. And sending her off the way that we did, not just with the gangbang, but also with the gangbang, and struggling, drinking coffee and eating pizza in the lobby to stay up until she ended up walking off the resort was really meaningful to me. And I got to do that. And then I got to focus on a new partner and introducing her to the resort and the people and the experience. And so even though, again, I was lucky enough to play with a lot of people, Tilly and I ended up playing with a few couples and ended up kind of doing our own thing, but we never let each other get out of focus or attention. And it was really nice. I had a lot of fear that, not that she wasn't going to have a good time, but that like one of us would kind of energetically float away and feel like we still needed that other person. And that didn't happen because we both kept each other at least in the corner of our attention while we were otherwise involved, and it worked out really nice.
She was enjoyable to meet. She was very nice.
Oh, Tilly's awesome.
Mhm.
Although I do admit I failed to
Yep, you did.
end up making an appointment with her ass. She asked for marks, and I did not get around to giving her.
Well, JV, I believe there was talk of a Chicago trip.
Oh, there is indeed.
Yeah, you're not
because,
far
you know,
away.
Tilly is also of the Chicago contingent.
Mm-hmm.
JV was just there, but he didn't have any time to stay. He had
Yeah,
to
it
turn
was
around and
totally.
come
It was.
right back.
They go to a supplier that was fucking us over. That's in North Chicago.
Ooh. Well, I think I can speak a little bit for Tilly, just a little bit, and say that she'd be interested in creating an opportunity, and I'd be happy to help make that happen.
All right.
Excellent. That'll be fun. Very rarely do people actually ask me for marks.
Oh, I remember the last Chicago trip where we were visiting Coop,
Yes,
and someone asked you for the marks.
she got quite.
Oh,
well
those marks.
Oh.
Yes. I show that picture at least once every couple of months.
And I always have to bring
Anonymous,
it
of
up.
course, but I show the picture.
I say, JV, that picture. Show.
Yeah, and every time I'm showing the picture, I got the toy in my other hand. This little thing.
They're
Oh
like,
God.
It's,
that
the,
one
it's the one that looks like a sucker, right?
Yeah, the stone on a stick.
Yeah.
Ah.
yeah. Oh. Oh. And then
Full
Ophelia was taking care of her and me at the same time. She was
Mhm.
phenomenal.
Yeah,
Using
she
the
was
stainless steel flogger.
double swinging, yeah.
Yes, she's good. I'm telling you.
Well, what was really great for me about this trip is that I got to connect with Ophelia, which I always love doing in Mexico, but she really advocated for herself and what she needed on this trip, and that's something neither of us are always the greatest at, and it's one of the most essential things for an intense space like this. Is if you need time to decompress by yourself, you need to be willing to ask for that. And if it's so easy, and I've seen it happen where someone needs that time to decompress by themselves, and they draw their partner resentfully into but I wanted to go out and hang out, and there's fun stuff at the hot tub, and rather than have the conversation of, okay, well, what would you like to do? And this is what I would like to do. But it was wonderful. She told me exactly what she wanted, exactly what she needed. I brought her grilled cheese a few times while I ate pizza out at the buffet, and it was really nice. And like I said, when once she got her dom on, she was back in the game. It was night and day from before. Like I said, next year we're gonna need to get you doming someone on night 1, because clearly that just gets your motor running for the rest of the trip.
Arranged, that can be.
I'm sure we could figure that out.
One other quick comment is also because I had 2 partners there, in addition with the other fun time I had, on a real basic carnal or primal level, it felt amazing to be like, I know I wasn't responsible for the sexual satisfaction of Tonya and Tilly, but at the same time, in my head, when I was with both of them, both separately and together, I was responsible for satisfying both of them. I'm like, this is what I was built to do. I was built for fucking pleasure, and that's what I was built for. We can rebuild him. So yeah, there were some very, very good moments.
I can see that smile on your face from here.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to loop around real quick and get back to my favorite event. I actually can't point to an event that was on the schedule that was my favorite. It was something that got...
I know which was your favorite.
Oh, go on, Shara. Tell me which one my favorite was.
In the hot tub. That night I had the ice.
How many nights were that?
Yeah.
Every opportunity.
The one time, you remember, Jar?
One of the very last nights. And you were sitting up at sitting up on the seat at the hot tub. And I brought the ice and I poured it on you. But then I, did something that I don't think you were expecting when I asked you to stand up. I asked nicely, though.
Did you did my balls in the comp?
There you go.
Yeah.
By the way, actually, she did that
You
twice.
did my balls.
She did
I
that
did.
to two people.
Twice to two
and
people.
I would like a ruling from the group as to whether Shara was switching when she was doing that.
No, I feel like, yeah.
I don't have balls, so I thought it was okay, but I know from the other person that I will never do it again because he didn't like it. And I said, I'm so sorry. I thought you would like it. He goes, no, they're on the outside for a
What would
reason.
make you think that?
Yeah.
I don't have balls. I don't know.
You know, they are built to completely shrivel and go inside the body when confronted with extreme temperatures.
I saw that
I'm
happen.
confronted.
I saw that happen.
Balls are like,
confronted,
fuck no, I'm out of here.
But I have to say, Dylan,
Mm-hmm.
even if he didn't like it, he stood there with a smile on his face and he took it and he never said,
You know, I said this to Dylan at Desire, but I'm going to say it again to him in front of the whole world. He met nearly constant adversity and constant dumping of ice water and horrifying shit happening to his balls involving ice water. And he handled it all with grace and a measured step. He really did. I was
really
impressed.
gotta say, too, that knowing you can revoke consent at any time, Dylan, still the fact that you have not revoked her universal consent to dump ice water on, really, it's either an extreme commitment to the bit, which, you know, wouldn't surprise me with you,
he loves me.
or you really, really like it.
He loves me.
Oh, Robot Ginger.
Robot Ginger. Quick, somebody get some cuffs on her.
Hey, Dylan, guess what?
What's that, Ginger?
I'd love for you to come with me on this amazingly sex-positive, queer, and polyam-friendly, kink-aware, all-inclusive resort vacation in paradise.
Oh, really? This trip sounds great. Who are these people, and how did they get the elusive Ginger A. Bentham stamp of approval?
It has the sexiest name. It's called the Swingset Takes Desire. It takes place in Cancun, Mexico at Desire Riviera Maya, November 2nd through 9th, 2019. This trip to paradise is co-hosted by JV and Shara from Ending the Sexual Dark Age, Bradford and Angela from the By the By podcast, and special guest Tristan Taramino, author, podcaster, and creator of excellent, ethically produced porn. And you can find more information at swingsetdesire.com.
Oh, Ginger.
What?
Get with the times. Everybody knows about swingsetdesire.com. In fact, Life on the Swingset is hosting its 8th annual trip to paradise. Drop your information in the forum at swingsetdesire.com and boom! Hot tub happy hour.
No way! I can go there and come there too? There's this super hot harness I've been dying to use.
Absolutely. In fact, I invite you and all of our listeners to go to swingsetdesire.com and book your trip to join us for the Swingset Takes Desire, November 2nd through the 9th, 2019.
All right, Dylan, I'm on it. swingsetdesire.com.
You'll be glad you came.
Quick, somebody get some cuffs on her.
No,
loves
it's... You know,
loves
I
me.
can't say that I love the feeling of ice on my balls, even as much as I do love contrasts, right? And I do love sensation and everything. But, you know, it's a matter of you got to commit to the bit. I put myself out there.
Yeah,
And
you commit to the bit. That's what
Yeah.
it is.
But I promise you, I will never do the balls again.
well,
I
thank you.
promise. But you did. You were wonderful in letting me,
But she's totally not topping.
I'm not.
No, that
It
is
was my
topping.
gift to you, Shara, to give you a little bit of power and over
See,
somebody else and just get a little
It's
taste.
a gift. It's a gift.
Yeah.
It was a gift.
So
Okay.
that was
I
not
mean,
my...
Dylan, didn't I give Shara the power?
No, you started it, but
Power
I
of
ended up giving her the power.
No, okay. Because
Ginger can't stop laughing.
I thought you confirmed I had the transitive property of it. And
There's
then I
too
gave it
much
to
math.
Shara
You know,
on her
math.
podcast.
the records, we didn't keep very good records back in the 50s or whatever, so it's fine.
Well, Dylan, I do want you to know one thing, because then you have to tell your story.
Yes.
But Dylan, during the podcast, the Swingset podcast,
Uh-huh.
I was told that if you took too long, that I could pour a bucket of ice.
Oh.
And Cooper and Coop said he would, shake his head yes or no. And he shook his head no because JV thought you were taking a little too long, so he went and got me a bucket of ice.
Yeah, and then Barbarian started drinking it like it was ice water he drank. Gave him that idea.
Yeah.
It was a pitcher sitting there on the table.
People said we have to see Dylan or this is going to end up on Dylan, so they started drinking it. But Coop said no.
That means
So
both me and a whole bunch of other swing setters were trying very hard to protect you, Dylan.
Plus, I was well behaved, so that worked out.
You were.
That or Coop was afraid that I was going to land that water on you, Ginger, and him. That could be a possibility, but whatever. He said no, and I respected that. I said, okay, no, I won't touch it.
Thanks for having my back,
So,
buddy.
Yeah.
So now tell your story. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, so as much fun as that was not my favorite moment.
I know. It was mine. One of mine.
He says with an undercurrent of guilt.
And she's still totally not topping. Everybody catch that.
I know,
that's-
JV,
it was
I have
mine.
concerns. I
That's
have
Shara's
concerns,
favorite event of the whole
What
trip
concern?
is the event where we dumped ice water on Dylan.
Ginger has concerns.
Well,
did, however-
it's actually a bus named Concern, but there's that.
Oh.
See, that's the thing. It's a bus.
streetcar name concern?
Streetcar named Concern. I have officially become a streetcar conductor rather than a bus driver. No, Dylan has a story, and I really want to listen.
Yes, me too.
It did, however, happen at the hot tub, and it also involved Caitlin and Kermit. They bring their Sibian. They evangelize for the Sibian every single year that they're on the resort, and they posted a note on the window saying, "Hey, Sibian time at I think it was like 4 or 5 p.m. at the hot tub."
They
of the
did
nights.
like an entire hot tub happy hour.
How did I miss that? What the hell? What's
Oh,
wrong with
I don't
me?
know, but
I don't know.
but they gave a lot of people their first Sibian ride, including
They did.
Tonya.
Yeah.
And including Tilly. Oh, so it was Wednesday, because that was the only day there was crossover. So yeah, both Tonya and Tilly had their first Sibian rides.
Wow. So Tonya did a Sibian and a gangbang on
In the same night.
day and then flew at 3 a.m.
I mean, listen, I talked to her on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and she said that her hips were so sore.
Weird, huh?
It's
what
not
made
surprising.
that happen? Huh?
Well, I was talking to Kermit and Caitlin, and they said that they were told by Mexican security that if they bring it back again, they will have to what's the
They have to
it.
declare it as some sort of something.
I don't know what
What?
they have to declare it as.
Well, they would probably have, if they have to declare it, it would have to be taxes paid based on the value of it.
Really?
Yes.
Or is it like jackhammer technology? Like what? I don't understand. Like
Heavy construction equipment.
Exactly.
I think it's a coin toss that whoever said that was fucking with them. But I mean, I'd take it at least seriously. Have some pesos in my pocket coming back next time.
It's probably
So, yeah,
somebody wanting to take it home.
They really did a good job of kind of providing a service to everybody that wanted to try it out.
That's
and
awesome.
making sure that everybody had a good experience. So watching both having, two partners of mine, and being like right next to and holding up both partners and watching them work with other people was just fucking wonderful. And that might be the single coolest thing that somebody else did that I was a part of a little bit that I really enjoyed. So, yeah.
I think it needs to be said on this recap podcast what an amazing fucking job all of the first timers did at just waking up Sunday morning as people who had been part of the group for years. I mean,
Yes.
it was almost spooky. how
I've
fast
never
it happened.
I've never seen integration like that before. Like you would not have been able to tell the newbies from long timers after the next morning. It was amazing.
Yeah, and
They
going
deserve-
back to Kermit and Caitlin's event, yeah, this was next year will be the first year that I don't dread that. I'll put it that way, because it's an important event and it's good to meet people and we enjoy doing it, but it's always been brutal for one reason or the other. Venue, the temperature, and it seemed like this was the first year that it kind of all really came together.
Yeah, I agree.
It just had to be built. It started off and then the next step and the next step. And
we're finally learning how to wrangle massive amounts of people.
And that's why you need the Sibian to wrangle.
But to throw back to actually a comment I never got around to making a little bit earlier, because we just digressed.
Never happened.
As we are wont to do.
Yes. No, really, it happened. So I think one of the hallmarks of this group, and Coop, I think you touched on this in part. We have people regularly who tell us, well, you can't have a bunch of swingers and kinky people and poly people in the same place. That's just never going to work.
All the time we hear that.
Right. And it doesn't, there are certainly days when it doesn't want to work. It's people who have somewhat different takes on life, but and often because we tend to feel isolated in whatever camp we happen to pitch our tent in.
Yeah.
We don't see, a lot of people never see the crossover between the communities that we are privileged to see on our trip and how well they really can work well together. And all it really takes, and I think we've proven this year after year, is for us as hosts, and by extension, the group who has been with us over and over again, to just accept people as they claim to be and not doubt or dispute it.
Right.
That's the one thing I think we do better than anybody else.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing that makes all the rest of it possible.
I do think that we deserve pats on the back as co-hosts because we set out very early intentionally to do that. And yeah, we provide a lot of information, and yeah, we do a lot of introductions and purposeful hand-holding in the very beginning and stuff like that. But yeah, we work on that, and we work on making sure that that's expected of everybody else too. I think that's why it works.
And I respect everybody else's, the whole group's commitment to that. I think just like speed dating, every year has been an improvement, and every year we've built upon the framework that's there, even if there are half of the folks that are joining us for the first time, that when it gets challenging, we stay with it. And we continue to create solutions and move through communication in a way that's healthy. And it makes for an incredible trip. And I believe that's a big source, a pretty significant source of why people step away from this trip feeling enriched, because we're enriching each other and we're giving each other the opportunities to ask questions that may feel less safe and secure out in the world, but we can ask those questions. We can get into those deeper conversations. We give each other the benefit of the doubt. We relish each other's differences rather than looking at them as ways that we are separated, but more as ways that we can choose to respect each other and learn from each other. And if it's not your jam, then you move in a different direction, but you still respect that person as a human being.
Thank you. And that explains the balls and ice for me. So let me just step in for a minute and say that, okay, there was once a lot of submissives, and then it seems to trickle down to just a couple of us now. And it gets a little scary out there when you have these switches and you have these dominants, and they're like, oh, here comes that one of those few subbies that are left. And it's like, oh, hi. Yeah. Okay. I want your fingerprints up on that mirror there. Well, no, really you don't. No, really I do. And so you're like, okay, so how do I get out of this? Oh, you don't, because you're the sub.
Well, it's worth mentioning for the audience who doesn't know us really, really well. The group that I will refer to lovingly as the Dungeon Crew. We have spent enough time together that basically everyone's always being co-topped at this point. I mean, and Ginger's laughing the loudest, and there's a reason for that.
Yeah, she drives a good bus.
Everyone is always being co-topped. So the submissives walk around on eggshells all the time, and then sometimes they intentionally step on some eggs. And we know when that's happening too.
Well, so Dylan, what I thought was, I'll just see how this feels. And it didn't feel good for me. I know it didn't feel good for you. Although, like, again, you took it like a true man. So
like a champ, seriously.
You did. And so did the other person that was right next to you there. And he too. I don't want to mention his name, but even though it's a common name, people would probably never guess. But both of you were like, yeah, did it. And I was like, whew, I don't like this feeling. What am I going to do? I'm going to be one of the few subbies that are left out there, because the whole dungeon crew, a lot of them are turning into, switches. And I'm like, I'm in trouble. I'm in danger.
It's really fun, though, is being at top and standing back and watching the switches flip on you. It is one of my favorite shows. It's one of my favorite shows. I love it. I try to encourage them. I try to lift up the female dominance in our group and help them have confidence. I give them encouragement.
And then we have a sub that, just say the word. Just say the word and she will be done hitting us. Oh, no, I'm not going to. Okay, so you're going to be one of those subs that are difficult. I see. And he just was not going to give in. He said, nope, I'm not saying thank you.
Well, that's right, because he was getting your ass beat. Yeah. Of course he wasn't going to give in.
Yeah.
We'll have to import a surplus of subs for next year.
Yeah.
I'm all there with you. I'm right there with you.
The call goes out. The beacons are lit for.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yes, absolutely.
But if Batman's got the bat signal, what is our signal?
A butt. an upside down heart.
Yeah, so we should leave a little bit of room to tell some stories. So, Shara, why don't you start? Because I'd love to hear something sexy from you.
It was when she dipped your balls in water.
I think she
somehow we can always get back to that.
Part.
Yeah.
Cooper, did you get a photo?
I wish I had. I don't think I was not there. I mean,
no, I don't think you were. You had just left, actually, I think, Coop. But that was one of those bratty moments of me that I will cherish, because he gave permission to do it. So I was like, okay, I'll just see how this feels. And I admit I didn't like it when, I don't like causing someone pain unless they want it, but that part was good. But what was, there was some, the Dungeon Crew event that Ginger was kind enough and Prof to say thank you and do a recap.
What would you call that when at the end of a successful project you have your team party or whatever, you
that's the rap
bump out
rap party.
Okay, rap party. Thank you. That's what I was looking for. The rap party. So go on.
So it was kind of intimidating when you walk in the door, and it's again all these doms and switches. Okay, and one of them
gauntlet.
And I got to tell you, that night, two of them were like, if I were wearing socks, they blew them off, because they just did some things. Sexy Pixie was one of them, and blindfolded me, which I have not been blindfolded in forever.
Yeah. And
never by anybody other than you. So I was blindfolded, and she was doing the rope on me, which is very hot and sexy. And then she was grabbing that rope and pulling it up. And I hope she's okay with me saying this. I better text her. But it was hot.
I better text her. You're adorable.
It was hot. And then, April and August.
Yes.
So April decided she was going to make sure that I listened, and I enjoyed calling her ma'am.
Well, yes, I told Shara that she should be referring to April as ma'am. And then Shara, helpfully trying to get herself out of it, says, well, we don't even know if she likes to be referred to that way. And I said, well, guess how we're going to find out. And throughout the rest of the evening, we discovered that she did, in fact, enjoy it quite a lot.
She did, and so did I. And so, she had the two of us up there, and she was wailing both of us, and she was good. I'm telling you, she was really good. And then,
this is most of the party had already adjourned outside to the pool at this point. So we were figuring most of the people outside couldn't hear what was going on, but Ginger Snap and I were laughing our asses off, having a good old time, because Run, who was the other submissive, just wouldn't. All he had to do, what did he have to do? He just had to say thank you or something?
All he had to do was say thank you. Yeah. And you know what he did? He looked at me and said, no. I said, excuse me? No. And
now
I'm like,
that's a fucking bus right there.
Right? Oh, it was like a bus load and just kept on coming. And that bus that I put out there now that twirls around and smokes underneath, that he was driving like 6 of those. I mean, because it wasn't just, I said, just say thank you. No.
And this is going to age me, but she looked like Monica Seles, like going hard, double-handed on a flogger on both of you.
It was a fucking thing of beauty.
I was cringing.
She's dressed as Wonder Woman. Okay. So there may have been a better outfit for that to happen while she was wearing it, but it worked out quite well. But she was doing like this two-handed jump up in the air, wind up like a fucking finishing move in a video game. And when she swung that flogger, you could feel it all the way across the room. It was beautiful.
So just in case she doesn't know, JV enjoyed watching.
Oh, she knows.
As much as I enjoyed receiving.
She knows I enjoyed watching.
And then we adjourned to the pool, and I'm like, oh, these switches, they are just like gonna keep throwing those buses all over the place. Just let's see what could happen. So but it was all very sexy, and even though it may not come out that way, it was a very hot evening.
We measure sexy differently.
Throwing Ginger's hair in her mouth there and all that. It was just, I was blindfolded.
There's something I have to share from that flogging, and I'm sure that they are listening. April was doing some uphanded windmill swings, hitting Shara in the pussy, and she forgot she was also flogging a guy.
Oh yeah,
hit an upswing on him and caught him in the sack. So
you thought that ice was bad.
He goes down for a second, and again recovered, grace and poise. He recovered quickly, but she says, without skipping a beat, she says, I intend to use that equipment later, so I'd appreciate if you return it to me in the same condition in which you got it.
I have to admit, that's one of my favorite dominant, I don't know what that is, dominant communication, but when the dominants say that to the other dominants, I'm like, okay, that's not hot at all. That's so hot. That's not hot. That's so hot. That's not hot. That's so hot.
That's hive mind.
Yes. So it was.
Shara, I'm excited to hear that sexy story and relive that. That is, I'm speechless.
Well, it was all thanks to you and Prof for opening up your place for the evening, so that
thank you for sharing.
There was so many things in so many different places. It was like, okay, it's hard to keep track.
But it really was, I think, what Ginger intended it to be. And this is how somebody asked me about it, and it's how I described it. The dungeon night is the party that we throw for the entire resort, and we have a good time, but we're really working. And this was the party we threw.
Right. All of you really worked very hard to make sure everybody was happy, their needs were met, and concerns, if they had questions, all of it. So this was like a release. And
so at our rap party, I instigated at least 3 scenes, and I had to be a part of at least 6 or 7 of them. I mean, that's a good party by any standard.
Yeah. I think talking about Dungeon Night that way is it. So that connects with me because when I do the karaoke event, that's like those are the parties that I throw for everybody, because it is really intense running karaoke. And by the way, shout out to Bradford of By the podcast for hosting night 2 of that, because I didn't have enough left in me to do to KJ a second night of karaoke, and and he stepped up and did it so that the entire resort had 2 nights of karaoke, and it was
and he did a good job, especially because the resort was having electrical issues.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, so
Yep.
he really did an awesome job keeping it going.
Yeah, the gods of the Maya did not want people to hear me sing that. Seriously, it was as soon as I picked up the microphone that the power started.
But you still ended
Just
up
couldn't
singing.
handle you. So yeah, but yeah, that is the thing that we do. That's the party that I throw for the resort, and I mean, it feels like an act of service when I do it because yeah, sure, I'm enjoying myself, but like this is really, really draining. And
yeah, and it is our pleasure, it is our honor. Nothing else we would rather be doing, but it's being on duty, and it's making sure we're doing our thing and we're doing the host thing. But it was also important to kick back, and Ginger had exactly the right instinct.
Yeah, so thank you so much, because that was a very hot and sexy evening for me.
Well, and I'm glad that was the case. And just like the rest of us on the Swingset podcast, we're talking about this year, I know that our dungeon crew had also a pretty gravity-laden year, if you will. And so it felt really wise to take a step back, and yeah, it's a party, but that's also what we do when we're there to decompress. And so to be really protective of even the folks who are doing that, the hosting is an important piece of the puzzle, because I do believe that when we take care of each other, we all can do our best at taking care of the big each other. Like, we all take care of each other. And Prof and I were hoping to host again on Friday night, but we ran out of steam a little bit and ended up having some of that time together on our own, which I had shared was so meaningful for me for this trip. But we do love hosting very much in the big scheme of things, and also particularly when it comes to a particular kind of play and having space to do that feels comfortable for everyone who's a part of our trip. It feels nice to be able to provide a space that keeps some boundaries around that particular kind of play. And also at the same time, I have to smile because both another lovely sexy and I, who helped with the dungeon this year, I was grateful to be able to co-top her lovely. She and I went running from our party that I was quote unquote hosting, to find the bi orgy. And we missed the time horizon, and we were like, oh, well, that's okay. There's also good stuff to do here, and we just kind of like circled back. But it was one of those things that made me think of how grateful I am that our space up at the hot tubs, especially late night, is such a great, or night, I don't even know, like early night, late night, is such a great spot for having those impromptu. And Coop, despite the fact that you had shared that this was like a, supposed half-baked idea, I love the idea of continuing to have a theme for whatever the play is up at the hot tub beds in the late night, because that did inspire me. Like, I didn't make it there lots of times, or I tried, or whatever it was, but that for me was very much like a creative inspiration, if you will. And I was like, sweet, I want it. Like, I was all like, literally had my doctor's bag on my shoulder. I'm like, I'm going to strap on like nobody's business. Where are we going? Oh, up to the hot tub, because that's where I know that the bi-stravaganza is happening. And, things happen. It's desire time. It's desire functioning, where it's like, you never really know. It's kind of within the hour-ish, but people have needs, or they find a different venue, and you respect that. You completely respect that and know that someone is having fun somewhere, and you may or may not find them, but you can always make your own fun.
Absolutely. And this is not a sexy part of it, but it's definitely the creative, and some of them are very hot, is the costumes. I enjoy watching the different costumes that come out. Some people wear them to dinner, and then, before you know, at the end of the night, people are undressing, but those costumes are just amazing to me. And one couple knows, I always tell them I just look forward to every night in their costumes, and we all know who they are. But anyway, so all of it, just the whole trip. But I don't think Dylan or Coop said their best sex. And Ginger, you didn't either, did you?
What's that?
Your sexy night event, sexiest event.
Oh, I think that I've teased around all of it enough. Certainly, like, I mean, I've done a lot of storytelling in the other parts of our sharing, and I just, like I said, the pushing of my edge is fundamentally a part of my life, not just how I play, not just how I'm in relationship, but it's how I live. And I find that the sexual erotic component of that, or the BDSM component, whatever it is, it's all connected. And so for me personally, like, that ability to connect with people about all of it and having those opportunities to do those things myself, where I can push myself to an edge like I was able to do multiple times. I really can't narrow it down.
I have something quick to add. Is as I was saying earlier, how I have this problem with delayed "oh, I like you" kind of comments, and I also have the same problem with "hey, I'd really like to play with you at some point this week." And I was so thrilled to be confronted with when I was doing my "I'd really like to play with you," before the end of the week. She said, "Well, what are you doing right now?" And I said, "Well, I'm talking to you." And she said, "Well, we could be playing."
Huh.
It's like, you're right. We could be playing. And you're right. I shouldn't be vaguing it up midway through the week. So it was great.
Awesome.
Nice.
Now, we know you, JV, you and Shara have to also head out. And we want to just extend a huge thank you, as always, to both of you for all the work, for all the emotional space and time you put in on this trip. It would not be the same without you, and we really, really appreciate it.
Thanks, brother. It is, like I said earlier, it is an honor and a privilege. We have an amazing tribe, and we try to celebrate it as often as possible, more often than just in November, and to whatever extent that is possible. I suggest to all of our Desire tribe and the extended tribe, just get together. Mm-hmm. Find people who are reasonably near you. If you're going out of town, see if you know any people who are nearby, just to have dinner, just to connect with
that
people.
Connection is so important. Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, just to connect with people who will accept you however you claim to be.
Yeah.
But did we hear Dylan's story?
Oh, not yet. I'm actually going to tease the audience, and I'm going to save that for our lots more segments. So patrons and people, if you're interested in hearing it, you have to be a patron.
Well, sure, know Dylan's story. It was dipping his balls in ice.
and I think Ginger's was part of it was yellow, something with yellow. I don't know. Seriously, this has been so much fun, and thank you for having us on.
Thank you.
Really enjoyed it, and rediscovering the whole trip is like, yay!
It's just wonderful.
Yeah, it was great. So
we are already in planning mode for 2019, and it's going to be epic.
Yep, we have to get together, do some commercials.
Definitely.
And we need to do what we almost did last year, which is actually set up a cross-promo schedule and, be a little bit more organized this time.
Yeah, organization and such, like real businesses. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
You're right. You're right, sir.
All right. Well, thank you so much for having us on. And Dylan, I'll be listening.
Night, guys. We love you. See you soon.
See you.
Night.
Bye. Mwah, mwah, mwah.
I should beat you.
Oh, okay.
I should beat you the mean way.
No. I'm not doing it. You're doing it. I should not be punished for your bad behavior. Of course, I might like it. Let's try it. See what happens. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, we're already recording.
Well.
So everybody, we had to do a couple of takes on this outro because we just couldn't get the groove, and I decided, fuck it. So, this has been episode 98. Thank you for joining us. Please, if you would like the vacation of your life, something that is pricey but worth every dollar of it, please join us this year at our Desire Takeover this November from the 3rd to the 11th. Or the 4th to the 11th, technically. We're going down there the 3rd to the 11th.
Yes, we are.
And until next time, you can reach out to us. I am at JVAuthorus on Twitter and JVAuthorus on Facebook. She is at JVS_Shara on Twitter and Shara Bono on Facebook. I am JVAuthorus at gmail.com. She is JVShara at gmail.com. Feel free to reach out with questions, comments, tirades, insults, or
Send
any
those to
comments you may have.
The insults and then send to him. I like the fun stuff. So, let's be clear.
So until next time, this is JV and Shara reminding you that sex is one of the greatest things in life, but there is always room for better.
Always.